weather at your school, hanging out here with the third graders in Saco at CK Burns School. Did you guys have fun today? Yeah!
Wow, a nice big crowd there today, huh?
That's a huge crowd.
Yeah.
One of the biggest I've seen.
Bringing the energy. Ted brings the energy, they bring the energy. It's so much fun to watch.
It's a good combo.
It is, yes. Especially when it's rainy and dreary, that kind of cheers you up.
Yeah, and then they get to go home with some fun weather facts to tell their family about too. I know they were talking about tornadoes and everything today, so super exciting for them. The rain, maybe not so exciting.
But they always learn something new.
Yeah.
This is very true. We're gonna need some of that energy infused here while we deal with the gloom this evening. Here's the view in Damariscotta, rainy across the area. We do have a little bit of a dry slot working its way across Sebago Lake right now, but there's still occasional downpours, one in Cape Elizabeth right now. You can see Kennebunk, York, South Berwick dealing with a downpour at this hour as well. Further north, we've got showers and a few passing downpours in the mix as well. Caribas Valley, Greenville getting in on those, Augusta as well. And temperatures coming in the 40s and 50s in most spots at this hour. We'll be getting down to the 40s later on in the night tonight. Luckily not worried about any ice or snow here tonight. We'll see showers off and on through about midnight or so, and then the back half of the night is much drier. Lows in the 40s in most spots. Tomorrow 60s, not far off from where we were today. Low to mid 60s in most spots, coming in pretty close to average for early May. Now as we see this first batch of rain kind of wind down here over the next couple of hours, there'll still be occasional showers and a downpour or two through about midnight tonight. After that we start to clear out and dry out. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, there's a couple of showers near the coast, but quickly those pull away. Mostly sunny tomorrow afternoon. Very small chance for an isolated passing shower. You'll see there on the storm tracker. A couple of spotty showers on Friday too, but the rest of the week is more dry than gloomy, more bright than gray, which is some good news there. We will see a chance for some showers and rain for parts of the state on Saturday and a potential coastal storm as we get into Monday as well. Southern Maine has that chance for rain coming in late on Saturday. Sunday, maybe a shower or two, but not looking too bad for Mother's Day. And then a coastal storm impacting Maine on Monday will bring us another chance at some widespread needed rainfall. Let's talk about Friday though. Temperatures will be pretty similar to Thursday, a little bit breezy, nice and bright early Friday morning. Clouds filling the sky midday, and you can see a few spotty showers, just a brief passing shower if anything there on Friday with some sun in between, and things will be clearing out as we head into Friday evening. So your Friday night plans are good to go, nice and dry there before rain comes back in for us on Saturday. Now this storm system is going to be bringing us the next best chance for widespread rain after tonight. You can see that moving in here on Saturday and into Saturday night. Small chance of showers on Sunday. I still think that's going to be a largely dry day, not too bad for Mom. And then Monday, widespread rain once again. We could use it in an unsettled pattern well into next week, which means more showers off and on. John, Megan.
Okay, thank you, Colleen.
Two Democrats on the primary ballot hoping to unseat Republican Susan Collins in the U.S. Senate. For months, that focus has been on the race between Governor Janet Mills and oyster farmer Graham Platner.
Well, now that Mills is out, there's another player in this race. Bonnie Bishop sits down with David Costello, who shares why his past experiences make him the best choice in the race.
If you get elected,
She gonna make a trip to D.C.?
well, she'd have to.
If you're in Brunswick, you might find David Costello out walking his dog, a 14-year-old named Stella.
Oh yeah, she's in charge.
But before a sassy beagle came into the mix, Costello grew up in Old Town in a working-class family, later traveling the country as a young adult for Ted Kennedy's presidential campaign. Costello worked in Haiti and Cambodia with USAID before landing a job as a top aide for the governor of Maryland. He and his wife raising 4 children.
You think back to how wonderful it is to just have kids, and all of the stuff they bring.
David Costello has worked around the world, but now he's looking to the nation's capital for his next job, senator.
I think that broad range of governing experience is something that's sorely needed in Washington.
He's not new to running for Senate. He lost to independent Senator Angus King back in 2024.
If I thought Washington was broken back in 2024, you can imagine what I think now.
Costello now trying to unseat 5-term Senator Susan Collins.
I just think my experience is where I've dealt with environmental challenges, where I've dealt with neighborhoods in crisis or countries in crisis in a more hands-on governing approach or way, that contrasts very sharply with her government experience.
But before he can face the senator, Costello must primary against oyster farmer Graham Plattner this June. Even when Governor Janet Mills was still in the race, Costello says he tried to keep out of their back and forth.
I'm really trying to be that, quite frankly, that alternative candidate who can appeal very broadly and is focused, laser focused on doing what we need to do to change the system to get important work done for working families in Maine as well as elsewhere.
Costello says he knows he's the lesser-known candidate in the race, but
I think I'm the person who can win the most or broadest support, and that I think the establishment would be very comfortable with the fact of my background and experience.
on affordability, Costello says it's one of his main focuses of his platform.
There are two ways to approach affordability. One is to lower costs, right, for a family, and the other is to increase wages or income. So I really try to focus on, well, what do we do to do both in tandem?
He's looking to bring down the cost of medical coverage with universal health care.
It makes a lot of sense economically, and it's certainly, if we have the right kind of health care program, it's comprehensive. It covers, it's Medicare for all with comprehensive care, vision, hearing, prescription drugs, long-term care, mental health care, all of it.
He says immigration is a global issue that the United States can't solve alone, and that ICE needs to be reformed.
I certainly think it would lead to a considerable reduction in the amount of money going to ICE, and money would be better spent elsewhere.
As Mainers cast their vote, Costello wants them to know.
I've seen an awful lot growing up in Maine. I've learned a lot through my experience in government as well as my education. And I would like to take all of that knowledge and all of the experiences I've had, lived as well as work experiences, and work on behalf of people in Maine and the United States.
The Democratic primary for Senate is on June 9th. In Brunswick, I'm Bonnie Bishop for Commitment 2026.
Well, the best two words in sports, Game 7. And we'll have one tonight in Portland when the Mariners and Thunder play Game 7 of their first-round Kelly Cup Series. Last night, Maine came a minute and 23 seconds from winning the series in Game 6, but Adirondack tied the game. They'd go on to win it in overtime. Face-off tonight, 7 o'clock at the Cross Insurance Arena. USM, the top seed in the Little East Conference playoffs, hosting Vermont Castleton today in the first round. The Huskies' bats were cooking early. They scored 10 times in the first 3 innings, capped by Evan Bashnagel's 2-run bomb. Meanwhile, on the mound, Gorham product Colin McDonald, 6 solid innings. He moves to 9-1 on the year as USM picks up the 10-6 win. They'll play at 3 o'clock tomorrow at USM in the next round. Hoops news, one of Cooper Flagg's Maine United teammates is headed to Orono. Caden Bedard announced today on social media that he'll play at Maine. He was at the Newman School last year. His father, Andy, was an all-conference player for the Black Bears as well. Well, sudden and frustrating ends to the season for both the Celtics and Bruins over the weekend. Today, leadership of both teams meeting the media. Brad Stevens downplayed rumors of a rift between Jaylen Brown and the team, saying their conversations have been positive. It's the third time in 4 years Boston has lost to a lower-seeded team in the playoffs. And this team has a history of losing at home in the playoffs and blowing big leads in games. Stevens was asked about it.
Those are things we got to get better with, and I don't think we're the only team. I think there's a lot of teams with how many teams shoot as well as they shoot, and how people can go on flurries that deal with that. But I don't think we should ignore it. I think that's a big talking point.
And the Bruins' postseason hopes were not maybe as high as the Celtics as a number 7 seed, but it was acknowledged today this team is still in the rebuilding process.
But you look at the elite teams in the league, we're not there. And like I said 2 years ago when we stripped it down like we did, you're not going to be there in one season. So it's going to take some time.
Both teams clearly with some work to do in the offseason.
All right, well, that's what it's for, right? Yeah, rebuild a little bit.
All right, Travis, thank you. We'll be right back.
You're watching Maine's Total Coverage.
As the weather warms up and more people are headed outdoors, researchers are working to keep Lyme disease from climbing. The case is climbing. The state reported 4,257 preliminary cases in 2025.
And Jamie Azulay today visiting their labs to see how they're trying to bring those numbers down.
May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, but here at the Maine Health Institute for Research, they're working year-round to study ticks and their habits.
Teams of scientists inside the vector-borne disease lab at the Research Center in Scarborough look at tick samples they've collected around the state. They're studying things like biomarkers in patients